Fearful avoidants may feel very wanted. They may be very attractive people. They may have very big personalities. So it's not that they don't feel wanted or desired or that people aren't attracted to them. Some of them may have that issue, but a lot of them don't. They can feel very wanted, but at the core, they may feel deeply unloved. And that might be a subconscious element of themselves that they're not even completely in touch with. If you were to talk to them about it, they may not know what the heck you're talking about at first. But it's at the core and it's what's driving a lot of things. And that's what I want to talk about today. There's usually an area for which they feel like something in their life is missing. They might look at other people and be like, for example, how can they be in a relationship for 14 years with the same person? I want that too, but how do they do it? Like, what do they do? Like, how do they eat dinner together every single night? How do they sleep together every single night? How do they, like, what do they do? What do they talk about? How do they act? Like, do they ever feel uncomfortable? Do they ever feel shy? Are they ever compensating for that? What happens when I'm in a bad mood and I lose my temper? Would that person stop loving me? Or is it consistent? Does it still remain the same? Like, you still love me no matter what? Like, can I have some flaws? Like, I'm so flawed at the core. Like, they feel deeply flawed in some area of their life. I'm not talking about, I'm not a great typist or I don't know how to be an accountant. You haven't had training for that. But I'm talking about they just feel at the core flawed, like they're different from everyone else in some sort of way that they don't know how to make up for. And it's usually at the relationship level where it's like, something's missing. Why don't I know how to act like everybody else? But then when you compare them to other people, they probably have a bigger personality than most people. A lot of people's personalities are just very simple, very plain Jane, very hello, how are you? I'm just toddling along. There's no like wavering. It's like, if they step back and look at other people, it seems like there are other people who are married who have very little personalities. They might be super quiet. They may not have much color to their personalities. They could be very mundane and simple and just, but for them, they're actually a lot more colorful. They know that they could switch up depending on who they're talking to. They might be quiet with a quiet person and rambunctious and outgoing with somebody who's really witty. They might be playful and silly and goofy, but then there are other people who know them as completely serious and quiet. They could be all over the map with their personality. They can understand people on a deeper level because of what they've been through. They've had to learn how to read moods or understand, like, okay, is this alcoholic parent fixing to jump me? Like, are they going off on me today? Okay, well, let me learn how to tiptoe a little bit. So they could be kind of chameleon-like, slip under people's skin. They can have a lot of personality. They could also be very compassionate and very loving because they know at the core what it feels like to be unlovable. And by unlovable, it means not quite right enough, not quite knowing what to do or how to do it. It looks like to them like everybody else knows how to be in a relationship, but the truth is, I do not. If I get into a relationship with you, when you find out who the real me is, are you going to stick around? There's this feeling of probably not. So I got to be perfect. And even when I'm perfect, that's kind of boring. So you're not going to want to stick with me then. But then when I'm too colorful or I'm boisterous, I get rejected. So it's not having a map to follow. That's also the issue. They don't know what the map is when it comes to relationships. And there are some days when they get it and they feel like, I got this, I know what I'm doing, because they know how to slither under people's skin and make them work. And that could be a good thing because they know how to connect with you. They know what you want. They know what you need. Be phenomenal workers, like their colleagues think you're the greatest ever. But then when it comes to romantic relationships, they feel like lost. Like, how's everybody else doing it? How do they know what to do? How do you do chores with another person? Am I doing it right? They're always going to be constantly self-evaluating. Like, can I do this better? Can I be better? Does he still love me? Does she still love me? I don't think they love me today. I don't think they like me today. Do I need to switch up the game plan? Do I need to do something different? And by the way, relationships, love relationships, it's a game. And that sucks. But it's also what makes it kind of intriguing and fun, but it could be a game. Or at least to a fearful avoidant. They may feel like this is somewhat of a game. They're going to be so tuned in to other people that they can tell when somebody's kind of playing a game with them, or when they're being sincere, when they're not, when they're switching up, when it's like, wait a minute, we had such a great day yesterday. What is going on today? Like, you're moody, you're snappy, you don't want to be around me. What's going on? Like, I'm trying to give you stability and you ain't giving it back today. What's up? What's up? I don't know who you are anymore. I thought I figured you out. And yet they're the same. Like, they're kind of, it's like they want to be stable, and sometimes they can be stable. And even if they are presenting as stable, their internal world is crazy. Not all the time, but it can ebb and flow. So, yeah, at the core is, am I lovable? Which means, are you going to stay with me? Which taps into abandonment issues. By abandonment, I mean, are you going to leave me or reject me? They are sensitive to that. And that is the thing that makes them hopscotch from avoidant to anxious, to clingy, to get away from me. It's because at the core, am I lovable? And are you going to reject me? Because if you do, that's going to be a problem. And then I'm going to switch up. So it is a game. It is a lot of chess moves because they're trying to figure you out. They want to give you what you want. They want to love you, but they're kind of like, wait, what was that? So when you switch up on them, that could throw them off. They could be deeply psychological and run from psychological things. Like, they could be like, another birthday and I don't have what I want. I don't even want to read the birthday messages, the birthday cards. I don't want to do anything with anybody. I'm just faking it till I make it. But really, I'm super triggered. But they can also be deeply in touch with the psychological world, with understanding people on a deeper level. So it's confusing, but it's not confusing. If they were to take a piece of paper and say, okay, this is what I want, they might struggle with getting clear on it unless they're super honest and they say, this is what I want. I want a guy that has black hair and green eyes without fighting themselves for guilt. They could say, I like a man who's loud, even though my family, they hate loud people. But that's what I want. So they kind of bounce against, okay, what does the world say? And what do I say? And is it okay with what I say I want? Because I'm going to be judged by people, and I don't want to be judged by people. I want to fit in, but I know what I want. They look at the possibilities, and sometimes the possibilities, meaning possibility is not just red and black, is it? It's blue, gray, all the colors. Like, they're considering it. Like, I'm decorating my room. Any color could work, right? Any ethnicity could work. Any race could work. What am I going to go with? They might just pick a place and go with it. I saw this girl, a video of a girl today, and she decided that she was going to tell this guy that she knew that she liked him. She was finally going to get the courage, and she decided to videotape it, and she was like, okay, I'm just going to get it over with. And you could tell that she was terrified. She had written down what she was going to say. She calls this guy and he basically rejects her. Like, she's like, I just wanted to let you know that I actually, do you have like 5 minutes to talk? I just wanted to let you know that I actually like you. Like, I have a crush on you and I just wanted you to know that. The guy rejected her and she was crying, but trying not to let him know that she was crying. Now, my question for you is this an anxious attachment style, or could it be a fearful avoidant attachment style? So at first glance, it seems like this is an anxious preoccupied attachment style. Let's just go with that for a minute, and then we're going to switch it up and look at it from the lens of if she was fearful avoidant instead. So she seems very nervous, and the reason I want to do this is because housed within fearful avoidant is anxious attachment style also. So she seems very nervous and anxious about confessing her feelings to her crush. And she's using she's saying, I'm very nervous right now. I need to hurry up. I'm so scared. And her anxious preoccupation with her crush's potential feelings and reactions is very evident. She wonders if she's made her feelings obvious in the past. And she's also concerned about making the friendship awkward. So the need to get the confession out of the way so she can move on suggests an anxious desire for reciprocation and resolution of the uncertainty. So she does have an insecure attachment style, I think, because her self-doubt and concern about butchering her words point to an insecure sense of self and confidence, and the tendency to seek validation from friends and their reactions. She was like, I appreciated that, but it kind of indicates a need for external reassurance and the desire to set her mind free after the confession suggests a struggle with rumination and intrusive thoughts related to her crush. So the combination of anxious and insecure traits suggests an overall insecure attachment style, which may have developed from past experiences or relationships. The strong emotional reactions and preoccupations with the crush's potential feelings are characteristic of an anxious attachment style pattern. The self-doubt and need for external validation point to an underlying insecurity in her sense of self and relationships. Now, let's flip it. If she, in fact, is a fearful avoidant attachment style, I think her behavior and reactions might have been quite different compared to the anxious attachment displayed here. So here's how fearful avoidant attachment style might manifest. Number one, ambivalence towards the confession. So instead of being overtly nervous and anxious, a fearful avoidant individual may have expressed more ambivalence and mixed feelings about confessing their feelings. They may have been torn between the desire to open up and the fear of rejection or intimacy. 2, distancing and avoidance. A fearful avoidant person might have been more inclined to avoid the situation altogether or minimize the importance of their feelings. They may have downplayed the significance of their confession or tried to quickly move on from the topic. 3, difficulty expressing emotions. Fearful avoidant individuals often struggle to articulate their feelings and may have appeared more detached or emotionally flat during the conversation than the girl did. They might have provided brief, vague responses, finding it challenging to fully engage with their emotional vulnerability of the situation. 4, protective mechanisms. To cope with the discomfort, a fearful avoidant person might have employed defensive behaviors such as making excuses, blaming external factors, or shifting the focus away from their own feelings. They may have been more concerned with protecting themselves from potential rejection or hurt than fully expressing their authentic emotions. And 5, lack of follow-through. After the initial confession, a fearful avoidant individual might have been less inclined to actively pursue further interactions or connection with the crush. They may have been satisfied with simply getting the confession off their chest without a strong desire to maintain or deepen the relationship. I could see fearful avoidant needing to do this or getting the advice to do this because they are feeling anxious and they don't want to feel anxious anymore. So that is a possibility, but I think it's a rookie mistake. Overall, the fearful avoidant attachment style is characteristic by a deep-seated fear of intimacy and a tendency to withdraw or distance themselves from close relationships. This would manifest in a more guarded, ambivalent, and avoidant response compared to the anxious attachment style displayed in the video. So it's a little confusing. I think it's a rookie mistake. I think with relationships, I think one of the things that I've learned to do is try to be honest. Is this person responding to me like they like me? Like they're interested in me for real? Or am I making this stuff up in my own head? And that is a way to kind of activate the avoidant style and stay distant, because I'm not going to take a risk because I don't want to start acting anxious. So it's kind of like trying to be honest. Like, is the relationship moving forward? Do I have too many questions? Does it just feel like he likes me or doesn't he? Am I really wasting my time with this dude? I need to find somebody else. Even if I feel terrible about it, just being honest. You have to let relationships, if you can have the patience and quiet the anxious side, to allow them to evolve into something real. Now, I think if the person only calls you once every 2 weeks, that's a huge clue. But if you need some clarification, you can ask him, what's up? Where is this going? Is this going anywhere? And he'll say, oh yeah, this is going somewhere. Especially if you're giving him certain things. If you have too many questions, then unfortunately, it's probably not right. I think if you're feeling anxious and you need clarification, you might need to think of a more creative way to do it if you're the female. Not trying to be ancient, but I just think we still have some biological things happening that are just built in. And I think it works better when the man is leading in relationship world to a certain extent. So I just saw another video where a girl told the guy in a creative way, hey, I'm making a video about when someone reveals to another person that they have a crush on him. And I'm recording the video right now. And so she kind of put him in the video until he finally said, oh, you're asking me. And then he was like, oh, well, yeah, actually, I have a crush on you too. Rather than it just being, okay, I'm just going to get to the bottom of this right now. I'm having feelings for you, and I need to know, do you have feelings for me too? Because I just wanted to know you to know I like, you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe figure out a creative way to do it so that it doesn't interfere with your friendship if it doesn't work. So if you're fearful, avoidant, are you unlovable? It's actually a very irrational viewpoint to have. Think about it. It's very irrational. 20% of people believe that they are unlovable. Like there's something uniquely flawed about them that makes them feel unlovable. And it's more likely their anxious side rather than their avoidant side that's activating that. If you feel unlovable, it feels like I do not have the ability to sustain or entertain a relationship long term. Like I'm flawed or have deficits in the relationship, even though outside of that, people tend to really like me and I handle people with a certain amount of ease. It's just inside the romantic relationship where I feel I'm free falling and do not trust myself or believe I'm way too flawed for someone to stay. So you have to have self-respect and work on building healthy relationships. Build reliable, predictable relationships, and that can fix a lot of the problem. They can also be very codependent. I need you, so please don't leave me. So you want to build healthy boundaries where you don't have to earn love from people, because I don't want you to feel like you have to do a tap dance for people not to leave you, because is that really a relationship? So it's okay to have needs and expectations when you're falling for somebody. It could be a little scary, but it should be long lasting, like you're building a foundation. Think of your social, emotional, physical. Think of those areas. Are you building in those areas? And you want your relationship to be fulfilling. And just know that it's a place where you grow. You cannot grow in certain ways as a person without being in a relationship. So expecting to go into the relationship and be an expert versus we're growing together, isn't that more of a healthy approach? You're enriching each other's lives. You are forming your own unique way of doing things. So forget the draining and exhausting part where you're just wearing yourself out. That's not a relationship. You are learning together. So think of it as a fun opportunity to build with another person and create a special bond, rather than it being a place where, oh, this is where you leave me. No, we're building something magical and beautiful together. Fearful avoidants tend to be codependent, probably more than other types. So they have learned to rescue other people. They feel like they have to make somebody perfectly and exquisitely happy, and they put aside their own needs for the sake of someone else. It doesn't matter how disgruntled I feel. I have to put that aside and put the other before me. But it can create more neediness in people and not less. It can feel like if you solve their problems, then you'll have less problems because they will finally be happy, so you can be happy. But they come up with more problems and the cycle never ends. The other person does. Like, I'm going to meet their needs constantly. It doesn't quiet it. It makes them come up with more stuff for you to solve. So you have to allow people to solve some of their own problems and make their own decisions, and trust that the other person can figure out how to be in a relationship with you, just like you can figure out how to be in one with them. Disorganized attachments can also be very attracted to someone who shows them that they can meet their needs and take the burden away. But they can also solve the problems of everyone else too. But they're sort of looking for that person that can make things better for them too. Like, can we both be in this together? See, we're getting to the core of why they can feel deeply unlovable. The interplay between anxious and avoidant tendencies can create a complex dynamic where individuals oscillate between seeking closeness and pushing others away. Understanding the cycle can be crucial for breaking it. Rewiring beliefs. The belief of being unlovable is deeply ingrained in those with disorganized attachment. So you may need to do some therapeutic approaches like cognitive behavioral therapy, which can challenge irrational beliefs and reframe negative self-perceptions. Building self-compassion is also important in this process. Many people with disorganized attachment struggle with emotional regulation. Learning to recognize and articulate feelings can empower individuals to express their needs more effectively rather than resorting to manipulation or avoidant behaviors. Healthy interdependence. Instead of codependency, fostering healthy interdependence is essential. This means recognizing that while we all have needs, those needs can be met in a balanced way that doesn't rely on one partner's sacrifices. Building a mutual support system can enhance both partners' growth without the pressure of performance. Communication skills. Open and honest communication is critical in relationships involving disorganized attachment styles. Encouraging partners to express their fears and desires can help mitigate misunderstandings and build trust. And support networks. Building a strong support network of friends and family who understand these dynamics can provide a protective buffer against challenges. So by focusing on areas such as these, Individuals with disorganized attachment can work towards healthier relationships that are based on mutual respect, understanding, and growth, rather than a fear of abandonment and the need for constant validation. So, party people, if you need more help, check out my book, Flip the Script on Love, where I address many different areas that I think you will find helpful. Stay away from the narcissist, because sometimes people think fearful avoidants are narcissists. They're not. Learn to differentiate the difference in my book, The Workplace Narcissist. And I wrote a book so that you can understand the differences in personalities, so that it can make you feel more secure when you're interacting with people. So check out my book, From ENFJ with Love, about the 16 Myers-Briggs personality types. Love you guys. Thanks for going on this journey with me. And I'll see you on the next video. So subscribe and like. Bye.